What if I told you that everything you think you know about fruit is completely wrong? In fact, by the end of this video, you're going to find out that one of the most famous fruits in the world isn't actually a fruit at all, and something you've been eating your entire life is technically a berry. Sounds impossible, right? Just wait. You'll never look at fruit the same way again. Let's start with a question. Is a banana a berry? Most people would say no. Bananas grow on trees, they peel like a vegetable, and they don't look anything like the berries we're used to, like blueberries or strawberries. But here's the twist. A banana is 100% a berry, and a strawberry is not. Confused yet? Good, because the truth behind what makes a fruit and a berry is way weirder than you think. To understand it, we have to dig into botany, the science of plants. And trust me, it's not boring. In fact, it's full of brain-bending facts that'll make you question your entire grocery list. So what even is a berry? According to science, a berry is a simple fruit that develops from a single flower with one ovary. It also has three main layers: the skin, the fleshy part, and the seeds inside, all formed from the same ovary. That's it. That's the scientific definition of a berry. And guess what fits perfectly into that category? Bananas. Also kiwis, grapes, even eggplants. Yes, eggplants are berries. So where does that leave strawberries? Well, strawberries don't develop from just one ovary. Instead, they form from a flower with multiple ovaries. And those little seeds on the outside of a strawberry, those aren't seeds. They're actually tiny individual fruits. Each one is called an achene. And inside each achene is a real seed. That means the red fleshy part we eat is basically a fruit holder, not the fruit itself. Mind blown. But it gets even weirder. Let's talk about watermelons. Most people don't think of watermelons as berries. They're massive. They have rinds. They're more like melons, right? But technically, watermelons are a type of berry called a pepo, a berry with a thick outer rind. The same goes for pumpkins, cucumbers, and even zucchini. So yes, in the world of science, your Halloween pumpkin is in the same family as blueberries. Let's talk about tomatoes for a second. You've probably heard the classic debate. Is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Spoiler alert. It's both. Botanically, it's 100% a fruit because it develops from a flower and contains seeds. But culinarily, we treat it like a vegetable because it's not sweet. That's why it's in salads and sauces instead of smoothies. In fact, the U.S. Supreme Court had to rule on this back in 1893. That's not a joke. There was a tariff law that taxed imported vegetables but not fruits. A tomato importer sued, claiming tomatoes were fruits and shouldn't be taxed. The court ruled that yes, tomatoes are technically fruits, but for tax purposes, they were vegetables. Imagine taking fruit classification to court, only in America. Now here's a curveball: pineapples. What even is a pineapple? It looks like a fruit. It tastes like a fruit. But it's not a single fruit. A pineapple is actually a collection of berries that fuse together. Each little hexagon on the outside, that's where an individual berry once was. Pineapples are what S called a multiple fruit, the result of many flowers growing together into one superfruit. Let's go even deeper. Avocados are fruits. That's not too surprising. But did you know that avocados are also considered berries? They develop from a single ovary, have fleshy fruit, and contain a single seed. So next time someone says fruit salad, technically you could toss in an avocado, a banana, a watermelon, and a tomato, and you'd still be on theme. But throw in a strawberry? Now you've gone rogue. Still with me? Because here's where we bring it all back to that promise I made at the start. Remember I told you that one of the most famous fruits in the world isn't even a fruit? Well, here it is. The thing that millions of people call a fruit, that is scientifically not a fruit at all, is the strawberry. Not a berry. Not a true fruit. Just a fancy, sweet structure designed to hold dozens of tiny fruits on its surface. So while bananas, watermelons, pumpkins, and even eggplants get the elite status of true berries, the poor strawberry, the fruit that literally has berry in its name, has been lying to us all along. But here's the takeaway. Nature doesn't care about what makes sense to us. It follows its own rules, sometimes weird, sometimes technical, but always fascinating. So next time you walk through a grocery store, you'll know which foods are imposters and which ones are secretly berries in disguise. And if you made it this far, congrats. Now you know more about fruit than most chefs, teachers, and TikTok nutritionists combined. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which fruit fact blew your mind the most.